We are presenting today the February 2024 release, and let's just get started. I am Sylvia, the product manager of ArcGIS Urban, and I have Lisa here with me to present today. And Lisa, I'll pass it over to you so you can go on with the rest of the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Sylvia, and welcome also from my side, from Zurich here. So before we dive into all of the new features that we've just released last week, just a quick reminder of our October release. So as most of you hopefully know, with the October release, we had a big new feature, which was the coordinate system support. So the support for what we call local urban models, where you can use your projected coordinate systems to create an urban model. And so that was a big new feature. And you'll also see that we actually added something pretty big also to this one with the February release. And so on the next slide, Sylvia, there's also some more information on this. Just a reminder, I'm sure you're all aware that with the coordinate system support, we now allow you to use your base maps, integrated meshes, scene layers, elevation layers, and everything else you're using within ArcGIS Urban in your own coordinate systems. So we've removed the restriction to be using Web Mercator for everything. And that also means you can leverage national and regional data sets, such as 3D base layers that are available on open data platforms or through other means of sharing. And that just makes it a little bit easier to have a consistent data set. It also, of course, with the usage of projected coordinate system, what comes with that is that you have enhanced data accuracy for editing, analysis, measuring, and also area calculations. And so here's just, if you haven't seen it, if you haven't used it, maybe because you have a projected coordinate system using US standard units, this is the setup where you can select your base map and also your elevation layer when you create a new urban model. So we've also added hopefully useful information in the UI that will tell you what's going to happen with your urban model here. So just a quick reminder of what has been added in October, because it's relevant also to the February release. But enough of that, let's dive into what's new in ArcGIS Urban with the February release. The first new feature is something that has been highly requested, is to import study areas when you create new plans and projects from feature services. So this allows you to use the geometries that maybe you already have or you've created within another tool and load it through an existing feature service. You can load actually multiple polygons and then select the one that you want to use for your new plan or project. So this really allows you to create more precise and more cohesive boundaries that can be used across ArcGIS. We have a quick demo for you to show you how that works. So when you create a new plan or project, we now see a new button, Import Study Area, that allows you to select a feature service, and this then loads the geometries from that feature service into your overview. You will see multiple geometries in case your feature service has multiple polygons, and then you can simply select the one that you want to use, create a plan like that, and it will use that geometry to create your new plan, to select the parcels that will go into that plan, the zones, and everything else as you know it. So we hope that this is actually a small feature, but can make a big difference for your workflow in creating new plans and projects. So that's our first new feature. The second quite big one is that we've enhanced the data loading, filtering, and validation in what we call the import dialogues, but also all the dialogues where you can select items such as existing buildings have been improved. And so we'll quickly show you a demo on how this works, but so simply the search has been made more intuitive. You can now also use the URL of an item to find it. And we also have additional filter UI that helps you to understand on one hand what you're currently looking at. So if we have some existing filters, for example, on the item type, this will now be reflected in the UI. And you have additional filter options, such as filtering by your user names and additional things. So this is something we added, but what's maybe even more useful is that we added a new UI, and you see this here on the right side, to validate and also fix your data before it gets imported. We'll show you this in a demo in just a second, but this is super useful if you have data that has been validated and was actually found to be having some errors, that you can just quickly fix it, just click refresh, and then you can import your data. The last point is that we added additional symbology for the zoning and overlay types import when you import from a layer symbology. So you might know that most of the overlays, they usually don't come with a normal fill symbol, but they have, for example, a hatch symbology, like a crosshatch. And so we also now support the ones that have been supported with adding new ones. They're now also supported through the import. So now let's dive into the demo. So here's the demo for the new search and filter. We're here in the overlay boundaries. And let's say we want to add new overlay boundaries to one of our types. You can see here that we have additional filters. We can filter by owners. We can see the type of the item. We can, as you know it, filter by the content, the sublayers. You can see them. We also show you when features are being skipped. And now here comes the validation UI. So you see we have two errors, and we can simply go to the source data and fix those values right in ArcGIS Online. Go back to Urban, click refresh, and then import these values. So before, this was quite a tedious workflow of having to go to ArcGIS Online and then go back to Urban, select the feature service again. And so now this goes all in one step, and hopefully this will enhance the experience of importing data that might not be valid at the first try. Then let's go to the next one. This is just showing the new symbology. So here we have a plan, and we want to import some overlay boundaries, some overlay types actually first. So we go to the overlay types and we add them from a feature layer symbology. We now have a new UI before importing that shows you that symbology, and you can see that there's the hatch symbol. We can then afterwards also go in and fix the symbology if we want to change that. But now these crosshatches that you see there, they're now supported, and this will also then be visualized in the plan editor with these symbologies. So if we go back to the plan, you now see all these overlays with the symbology that came from a layer. So this is just something, an additional support of the symbology that we added. This feature was already there, it was just enhanced and made a little bit more powerful. And then number 3, this kind of goes together a little bit with number 1, importing the plan boundaries and the project boundaries. When you create a plan and a project, we also added support for changing your study area once your plan or project has been created. So you can now redefine your plan boundaries in also existing plans and projects. So this hopefully helps you to just be a little bit more flexible with your plan study area to, for example, include additional blocks and parcels that in a first step weren't included in your plan, or also reduce the size of your plan if something has changed. So we are fully aware that planning processes are highly iterative and things change, right? And so this will help you to have these changes being reflected also within Urban. So let's quickly have a look at how this works with a demo. It's very simple, very intuitive. So in your detail mode, the first mode in the header, you can simply go to the Edit Study Area tool. You can show your urban model parcels for reference and to snap to them, and just like you know it from other editing tools, redefine the boundary, save it, and now your plan has a different boundary. And of course, this alone will not be enough to support this workflow of having just a new study area. But now I'm going to hand over to Sylvia to discuss what you can do next after you redefined your boundaries, such as bringing in parcels and spaces and copying them across scenarios.
Thank you, Lisa. So as Lisa said, like it's not only changing the boundary of the study area, but what do you do after? So we have included a few other features to allow you to, one, manage how the data will go into these new portions or excluded portions of the study area, and then paste new things either into the same scenario or to other scenarios. So first thing would be that we can update the parcels that are on the existing scenario. So you can actually utilize what's on your urban model to update that scenario in your plan. You can also copy parcels from one scenario to another. So let's say that you've been working on a plan and you have several scenarios, but you only want to make the updates of the parcels to one. So you bring them into the existing scenario and then you copy it over to just that one scenario. It doesn't happen automatically to all of the scenarios. You are controlling that. And then you can not only copy parcels, you will be able to copy zoning, overlays. And if you have actually developed something on a parcel, let's say there's a building there, you will be able also to copy that parcel with that building into another scenario. So let's get into the demo. So here you see that I can configure my plan, go to the configure plan, select my existing scenario and delete all the parcels. And then I'm going to add parcels from my model. So now that area that Lisa added, you can see that the parcels were included into that portion of the plan. So I've added them to the plan area. Now I'm selecting them, the parcels that were added, and I can do this copy to scenario. I can select the scenario, and then it'll allow me to, one, either replace what it's already on that scenario. That means that whatever I'm copying will remove what was there and put this new either parcels, zoning, overlays, or buildings, or I can actually preserve what is there. So you have control over what's going on while you're doing the copy and pasting. The next one, which is another way of copying and pasting, is to do it at the building level. So you can select buildings that you have already designed and then copy them to other parcels. So this is almost like stamping buildings that you have already on your plans. Once you select the building, you can actually put it on another location and take advantage of other tools that we have, like rotating it and scaling. I wouldn't scale because that would probably change the proportions of the building, but you have the tools there if it's necessary. And then, of course, this saves time, because if you actually done some designs like you see here that haven't been procedurally generated through zoning, then you have spent time on this. So you are probably going to save time now by just stamping them in other parcels as you are completing your plan. So to show you this in a demo, you can see here, it's the same area, and this parcel has actually includes several buildings, I would say, podiums, towers. Now I can select it through my edit spaces, and you'll see the button of duplicate building. This will create a copy of your building right away, and then I can move it over to the new location. And I can be as precise as I want. So if I don't make it at the first try, I can move it around a little bit more. And there you have a copy and the stamping of the building. So the sixth feature of this release, which is also big, and Lisa mentioned it, what we released in the October release, we started with supporting metric units or coordinate systems that were on those units. But now with the February release, we're also adding the US standard units. So now if you have created models that you can create models in projected coordinate systems that are in feet or in US standard units, you can reproject data. So if you have selected your base map with that local coordinate and those units, then as you bring other data, it can get reprojected. So everything is in one unified coordinate system. And this also helping you validate that you're not going to have mismatch of things. Everything is going to be on the same projection, and then all your data will have the same accuracy. For these ones, we don't have demos because we've actually shown this in the previous release. Another new thing that we added was a new sharing user interface. So this will have, you will see now that you have a more convenient drop-down menus for either deciding who's going to view your model or who can edit your model. We can also create groups easier with this release. And then you can access ArcGIS Online directly from the Urban UI if you want to set up more settings about your group. So you probably also noticed that when we released Urban last week, ArcGIS Online was also released, and there are a lot of changes in the UI of Online. So we're also trying to align more with all of those things that Online is doing and kind of have the same experience in Urban. And the last feature from this release is actually a little bit of more granularity on the naming of your model. So now we can name the model and the city in a couple of different fields. So this is, we're doing this to help you manage your urban models better. So the name of the model will be the name of your database views, and it will be what you see on the portal and you see on ArcGIS Online or later on Enterprise too. So this way you can actually manage all the naming of all of your services that are part of this model. And then the name of your city is whatever city that you're working on. Sometimes this may be the same name. It doesn't need to be different, but you can be a little bit more explicit or detailed on what you want on the naming of your files versus the naming of your model. So with that, we always like sharing this. We have a story map that has a lot of resources about urban. We share the latest blogs that we have in it. Actually, I will share on the chat in a second all of the blogs that we release, because there's more than one blog for this release. There's one for the what's new. We've also included how to manage your data, best practices for dealing of editing your study boundaries. So what's a workflow that you should follow to delete your parcels and bring in new parcels and copy them over scenarios. And we also have another blog on setting up your base map and your elevation. So a lot of complementary blogs with this release. So trying to explain things to users a little better, so when they encounter these new features, they know what to do.